Anthony Joshua has built his legacy on strength, discipline, and resilience. For more than a decade, the former heavyweight champion of the world has stood as a symbol of power, both physical and mental. But today, that image is shaken. Not by an opponent in the ring, not by a crushing knockout, but by a tragedy that unfolded far from the bright lights of boxing arenas. In a rare and emotional statement, Anthony Joshua has finally broken his silence following a horrific car crash in Nigeria that claimed the lives of two of his closest friends. The incident has left the boxing icon traumatized, exhausted, and mentally shattered, while authorities now investigate the circumstances surrounding the crash, including the possibility of reckless driving charges. What was supposed to be a private visit has now turned into one of the darkest chapters of Joshua's life. And as the world watches, questions are growing louder. Was this truly an accident? Could it have been prevented? And how will this tragedy affect Anthony Joshua's future, both inside and outside the ring? A night that changed everything according to preliminary reports. The crash occurred late at night on a Nigerian roadway known for heavy traffic and poor infrastructure. Anthony Joshua was traveling with two lifelong friends. Many had known long before the fame, the belt, and the global recognition. Joshua has stated that the vehicle suffered a sudden brake failure. In a split second, control was lost. What followed was chaos. Emergency responders arrived to a devastating scene. Two passengers were pronounced dead. Joshua survived, but not unscathed. Physically, he escaped with injuries that doctors say will heal. Mentally, however, the damage runs far deeper. This isn't something you just walk away from, one source close to Joshua said. He keeps replaying the moment in his head. Anthony Joshua speaks. I'm not okay. For days after crash, Joshua remained silent. No social media posts. No public appearances. No statements through his management team. Then, finally, he spoke. In a deeply emotional message, Joshua described the experience as a most traumatic moment of my life. He confirmed that the brakes failed and said he did everything he could to avoid the crash. But it wasn't enough. I'm exhausted, Joshua admitted. Not physically, mentally, emotionally. I'm shattered. Those words stunned fans. This was not the confident, composed champion the world knows. This was a man broken by grief and survivor's guilt. Joshua also expressed profound sorrow for the families of the victims, stating that no apology or explanation could ever make up for what was lost. Police investigation and reckless driving charges as condolences poured in. Nigerian authorities launched a formal investigation into the crash. While Joshua has maintained that mechanical failure caused the accident, police officials confirmed that reckless driving charges are being considered as part of standard procedure in fatal road incidents. At this stage, no charges have been filed. However, the investigation remains open. Legal experts emphasize that such charges do not automatically imply guilt, but the possibility alone has added enormous pressure to an already devastated Joshua. This is a nightmare scenario, one analyst explained. You're grieving, you're traumatized, and now you're facing legal scrutiny. Boxing world reacts, shock, sympathy, and concern as news of the crash spread. Reactions poured in from across the boxing world and beyond. Joe Rogan spoke about the psychological toll such trauma can take, emphasizing that no amount of fame or physical strength prepares a person for sudden loss. Tyson Fury, Joshua's longtime rival, offered a rare moment of unity, expressing condolences and calling the incident heartbreaking. This goes beyond boxing, Fury said. This is life. Other fighters, trainers, and promoters echoed similar sentiments, shifting the conversation away from titles and rivalries toward mental health and human vulnerability. Questions begin to surface. With tragedy comes speculation, and in the age of social media, questions spread fast. Some fans have begun asking whether the brake failure was truly accidental. Others have questioned the safety of the vehicle or the condition of the road. A smaller but louder group has even raised concerns about possible foul play, though no evidence currently supports such claims. Joshua's team has urged the public to avoid speculation and respect the ongoing investigation. Still, the questions remain, and they are unlikely to fade anytime soon. Survivor's guilt and mental health psychologists say Joshua may be experiencing severe survivor's guilt, a condition common in those who live through fatal accidents involving loved ones. Symptoms include insomnia, flashbacks, emotional numbness, and overwhelming guilt. He survived. They didn't. One mental health expert explained. That reality alone can destroy a person from the inside. Joshua has reportedly withdrawn from training entirely, focusing instead on counseling and recovery. Sources say he has questioned whether he even wants to return to boxing. What this means for his career: Anthony Joshua's career has already been marked by highs and lows, world titles won and lost, comebacks attempted, criticism endured. But this moment is different. This isn't about boxing skills or strategy. It's about whether he can emotionally step back into a sport built on violence after experiencing real-world devastation. Promoters remain cautious. Fight talks have reportedly been paused indefinitely. There's no timeline, one insider said. Right now, boxing doesn't matter. A man beyond the glove for years, Anthony Joshua has been portrayed as machine, disciplined, powerful, unstoppable. This tragedy has reminded the world that behind the gloves is a man capable of deep pain. Fans who once criticized his performances now express sympathy. Many say they see him differently, more human, more vulnerable. This could redefine how people remember him, a sports historian noted. Not just as a fighter, but as a person. Nigeria mourns in Nigeria. The tragedy has struck a deep chord. Joshua's connection to the country is personal and cultural. The loss of 2 lives has prompted public mourning and renewed calls for improved road safety. Vigils have been held. Messages of condolence continue to flood in. The families of the victims remain at the center of the conversation, a reminder that fame does not outweigh loss. What comes next? As investigations continue, Anthony Joshua remains largely out of public view. No interviews, no training footage, no announcements, just silence. Whether that silence leads to healing, retirement, or a future comeback remains unknown. One thing is certain: Anthony Joshua's life has been forever changed. This tragedy will not be measured in wins or losses, but in the weight of grief, responsibility, and survival. Final thoughts: Anthony Joshua's story is no longer just about boxing. It's about tragedy, accountability, mental health, and the fragile nature of life. As the world waits for answers, one truth stands above all else: no championship, no fame, and no victory can shield a person from loss. And sometimes, the hardest fight isn't in the ring. It's learning how to live after everything changes.